At approximately 3:30 p.m., London Post, KSP Post, was notified that two troopers and two civilians had found an unidentified body in the deep brush behind exit 49 in Laurel County. Troopers had been searching in the area all day and had noticed vultures in the area. They continued to try and locate the exact nature of the area that the vultures were circling in. They began, at that time, while they were in there, they began to detect a strong odor of what appeared to be a decomposing flesh, whether it could be animal or human. While moving through the thick terrain and trying to locate the smell, troopers heard voices, and the troopers immediately identified themselves in the woods. They identified themselves as state troopers and asked that the individuals that were also in the wooded area identify themselves. There was a couple, Fred and Sheila McCoy, advised the troopers that they were also in the area searching for Joseph Couch. Almost immediately after that interaction between troopers and the McCoys, the troopers and McCoys stumbled upon an unidentified body. At this time, we still have troopers and personnel out there processing the scene. There were articles associated with the body that at this time we feel is Joseph Couch. Laurel County Coroner is there present, and then the body, identified body at this time, will be sent to Frankfort for positive identification tomorrow. But again, we do have those articles associated with the body that we do feel is Joseph Couch. You know, I want to recognize the McCoys because they've been very cooperative with our troopers and provided troopers with relevant information. You know, this is still an active investigation, and we'll have more updates as we go forward with this. But, you know, I would like to acknowledge, you know, we're very confident that this brings to closure in the search of Joseph Couch. But again, I want to reiterate the partnerships that we had with everybody here. Laurel County Sheriff's Office, London PD, FBI, the Marshal Service, ATF, National Guard, U.S. Forest Service, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, our prosecutors here in Laurel County. This was a collaborative effort to bring this to a successful conclusion. But the main thing that is very good tonight is that the people of Laurel County can rest easy, much easier, knowing that this manhunt has now come to a conclusion. Sheriff Rhodes, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Sheriff John Rood. I'm the sheriff here in Laurel County, and I just want to reiterate a few things that I've said since day one, since we've been having these conferences. One, the last conference we had, I told you guys that I wouldn't change a thing that we've done so far, and I wouldn't. The resources by these gentlemen that's on stage, that's here with me, some's not, has absolutely been, they went above and beyond in every effort. London PD, Kentucky State Police, all you guys, you just don't know how I appreciate you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Since day one, my concern has been the residents of Laurel County. And I hope now that the residents, they know that this has been our #1 priority, is the safety. We've had school cancellations, we've had church cancellations, people's been in fear. That's not the normal here in Laurel County. So now that this has been discovered, I hope that our county can get back to what's normal. I will say this, I'm very proud, again, I can't say it enough, of the effort that has been put in on this stage, the effort and the manpower that's been used. And I also want to reiterate what the commissioner said, the McCoys. Hey, congratulations, we're proud. our one goal was to have this guy recovered. And I'll be honest with you, I've always said prayer for our victims. Let's have a prayer for Joe Couch's family. They have worked with us. I don't care a bit to tell you guys through this investigation. We're doing the investigation end of it. I've called KSP and other resources for the ground search. But through the investigation end, they have worked with us. Just everything that we have asked, they have done. And as we all know, I have children of my own, and I hope and pray to God that they take the right path. And the family cannot be blamed for the misfortune that this guy has caused. And I really wish that we could have located Joe Smith and Joe Couch, and we would have had him live. We could have asked him what his intentions was. We could have put him through the courts. The prosecutors could have prosecuted him, and he'd have paid for what he done. I don't think nobody on this stage wished that we would have found him in the condition that we found. I'd rather he'd been alive and he could have paid for what he's done. In closing, I won't dare mention the people that has helped us in this, but not all the agencies. I mean, everything from a dispatcher to an ambulance driver, rescue squad, fire departments. I can't, all the agencies, I just want to thank. And I hope, my prayer is that Laurel County will rest easy and surrounding counties tonight. And I want to thank you, the media. You've covered it well. You guys are tired. We're tired. And hopefully we can go home to our families and get a good night's rest as well. And I thank you for the coverage.
Is there any questions? Yes.
Is there any indication right now how Couch or whoever this is killed themselves or how they died out there?
That's still part of the investigation, and we will confirm that with the autopsy of the medical examiner's office in Frankfurt tomorrow.
Any weapon found there at the site?
Yes.
Can you tell us how far away from the shooting you found this body?
We still have detectives out there in the scene processing, and I don't have that information there at this time.
If the body's identified as Couch, will the boys receive that reward?
We did have confirmation that, yes, they will receive $15,000 from Laurel County Crime Stoppers and then $10,000 from a private donor.
Can you just talk about what it's been like, over 100 men trying to bring this in, and now it's come to a close?
Well, this is, obviously law enforcement, we want to bring any event like this as to a closure as quickly as possible. It's much better for everyone involved, the community especially, victims first, and then also for law enforcement. But sometimes these things take time, and that's what this one did. But this was about perseverance, that we did not give up. We adjusted our tactics, and there was some, we brought it to a successful conclusion.
Are you able to determine how long the body had been there?
Not at this time.
In the McCoy's video, it looked like they were alone out there, but there were troopers right there with them.
I have not seen the video. I just come in from headquarters in Frankfurt, but we did have troopers that were right there with them.
Are you able to specify and give the items that were found with the body?
I'm not. They're still processing that.
But you did say there was a weapon with the body.
That's correct.
What was the hardest part of the search for?
Well, just, as we've said, the terrain has been treacherous. I mean, that is some of the most treacherous terrain that they are in Kentucky. And it was so vast, very hilly, and it was still so thick. I mean, the cover there was so thick, you just could not basically see just a few feet in front of you. So that was the biggest thing.
Can you just talk about the exhaustion, the blisters, the time away from home, and what it's going to mean for all that to stop now?
Well, I can tell you that, our officers and troopers and agents, they'll be glad to have a little bit of downtime because they've dedicated so much of themselves since this began, being away from their family, adjusting their schedules. But, again, that's what public servants do. And that's what everybody here does. We want to serve the public, and our families realize that. So we want to put forth our best efforts, and I feel like that's what everyone did here. And again, when you talk about partnerships and talk about a large event, when you see everybody up on this stage, and I've been a trooper for 29 years, and I don't know that I've ever seen everybody here together on an event that I have been personally involved with, prosecutors, state, local, and federal partners. But this is the way this should be if we do have to encounter an incident like this.
Looking back, any regrets?
No, I feel like we put forth our best efforts. Everybody did, and every day that we worked, we would meet to make sure collectively, this group, that we were doing everything possible that we could to bring this to a quick a conclusion as possible.
What made you all decide to search back in that area today?
Excuse me?
What made you all decide to search in that area again?
It's where we had transitioned troopers and other personnel and officers and deputies from the force. They were out working in the 49 area. And then we observed those vultures. And then that was one of the things that we said early on that, may be a clue for us to see and look into. And that's exactly what happened. And that's how that he was located.
Given all the efforts and the resources you've put towards this over the past 12 days, how do you wrap your head around the fact that this couple who kind of had a date night idea to go out and find Couch ultimately got to him?
Well, just like we said earlier, Mother Nature will help and aid and assist in a search like this. And this is what happened. You had high temperatures, and then you had the vultures coming out. So time was on everyone's side with this. Not to take anything away from McCoy's, because we appreciate their efforts, but time did help with this search.
Just a clarification on the reward money. You said $15,000 from Crime Stoppers, $10,000 from a private donor.
I think $15,000 from Laurel County Crime Stoppers and $10,000 from a private donor.
I thought originally the amount had been quoted as $35,000.
That was the last information that I was given.
So that's 25.
In the last 12 days, anything more on motive? You all discovered anything that might have been the reason for him to do what he did?
At this time, we focused on the manhunt. Sheriff Root and his department focused on the actual investigation dealing with the shooting.
Well, and to answer you, sir, in the weeks forthcoming, soon after, it's still an open investigation. KSP will be at the autopsy when it's scheduled, and after that's done and investigators are together, we will release that. We do have evidence, but right now we're just going to compile it all, and they will be answers to that question. We'll probably have another one and let you guys just know what we got and move on.
Sheriff Root, you mentioned, prayers for Couch's family. Do you want to elaborate on that at all? I mean,
Yes, I want to elaborate on that. I sure will, sir. The Couch family has worked with us every step of the way. I have children. I have grown children. And, I think tonight, I don't think they're doing nothing wrong. But do I know if they do something wrong, is it my fault? No, you raise your children the way that you want them to be. He did an act that I do not approve of. And I honestly don't think his family approves of it. But yes, as a family, as his mother and brothers and friends of him, I don't think they agree with what he did. But still yet, that's their blood and that's their family. And yes, I will reiterate, I want prayers for the victims. Also prayers for that family. He's a human being, and I wish we could have took him alive. It just so happened that we didn't.
You've been complimentary of the McCoys. Were there any other private citizens who were a hindrance to your efforts or got in the way?
Not that I can speak specifically to. But, we do worry about such things when we have an event like this. We do worry about their safety because we still don't know if he was alive. So we would worry about the safety of anyone that may try to do such actions in the future for their safety. Any other questions?
You mentioned the rough terrain. Are you able to describe the exact area where he was found, what that was like?
I do not have that yet, but they will, again, they're out there processing that. They're right there with the body right now, but I don't have that exact location at this time.
can you just come over the next steps? You know, what happens tomorrow? You said the body goes back to Frankfurt, right?
That's correct.
After that, what happens after?
Well, we'll do the autopsy, and then we'll process what evidence and articles and everything that we located in that area. And obviously, by locating there, we'll be able to do a more refined search right there close to that area, and then we'll take that into our investigation and go forth from there. Okay?
Are you able to specify the weapon at this time?
I am not at this time. Okay. You have a statement or anything? Okay, we want to thank the media through all this. I know this has been enduring as well. So we want to thank you for your support and be able to put what information out there to help help ease the minds of the community. Thank you.
Again, a confirmed tornado on the ground in downtown Conyers. It's a very dangerous and life-threatening weather event. Get into the interior section of your house, away from windows or a basement if you have. And there's the debris right there in the Millstead area near the Rockdale Medical Center. Right. Channel 1 Atlanta.
There is a storm coming, an event like the world has never seen before. The emerging event will have little to do with weather, but more about developing situations that were foreseen many years ago. We have always warned you during severe weather and news events that affected many. Now, Channel 1 Atlanta begins a new series to warn you about what's coming soon and make sure you are prepared. Join us on a new journey, as according to a recent survey, a lot of people believe we are living in the last days. Current news events show us now more than ever. In history, time is setting the stage for the coming storm, a new series, now playing only on Channel 1 Atlanta.
This fact today telling Fox that Trump's security was increased since Butler, PA, and that helped thwart what could have happened Sunday. According to the Secret Service, Biden, Trump, and Harris all have the following: counter snipers, counter assault, counter surveillance, protective intelligence, and drone teams. Now, the difference, as a former president, Trump does not travel with the communications that Biden and Harris do, like the satellites and, of course, the nuclear football. Biden and Harris have also Department of Defense restricted airspace and other aspects here. But remember, there have been calls to give Trump the same level of protection as Biden. And according to sources, the Secret Service confirmed to Fox Trump did have the same protection on Sunday in Florida as when he was the president. So that is new. That is a clarification. We wanted to make sure we got that in there as well here. Separately, though, speaking of both the Trump and Harris campaigns, I want to put this up. Live picture there at the White House. We learned this today as well. Remember, we were talking about who is going to be on both Harris and Trump's transition teams, depending on who wins the election, who will go into the Oval Office come January 20th, 2025. Transition teams are in place to help that effort along. Well, we are learning representatives for both Trump and Harris's transition teams today met for the first time at the White House. That was according to the Biden administration. Chief of Staff Jeff Zients hosted a meeting on Tuesday of the White House Transition Coordinating Committee. That's the government's senior-most transition planning group, and for the first time this year included both Harris and Trump aides. The meeting and invitation to both parties' representatives are required under the Presidential Transition Act. So this is by law. They have to do this under this statute here to help things further themselves along, depending on whoever wins. Let's take our final commercial break of the hour. More where that came from in 2 minutes.
Guinness World Record for the longest softball game ever played.
The record's 115 hours officially, 120 unofficially. We're going 121 hours.
There are a lot of rules.
Batter's out! That's two!
You can only take 5-minute bathroom breaks. You can only take 5-minute showers.
Also, eating when you can, sneaking in a snooze, a quick pop from your local chiropractor, and maybe just being a bit on the crazy side.
Lake. Jake. Lake and Jake.
Lake and Jake.
Lake and Jake. That's it.
Are y'all like a sitcom duo?
We could be. It's like that's crazy.
We just become best friends.
But all this is swinging for something deeper than the fences, raising awareness about sex trafficking.
Too many people in America don't believe it's our issue.
That's why Deal founded MOST, Men Opposing Sex Trafficking.
99% of buyers of sex are men, 95% of traffickers are men.
And why women who escaped sex trafficking are taking shifts cheering them on.
We need a hit, so we can run.
Trying to combat good versus evil and disrupt that balance and do some good in the world. And if we can do it by playing softball, it's a pretty good way to do it, I guess.
So as the innings and runs pile up and physical limits are tested, these batters are stepping up to the plate for a team bigger than the one on the field.
Anti-trafficking, softball, break a world record.
Only working 8 hours, Joshua Skinner.
I gotta go hit.
Take it off.
All right.
Take it off.
Go hit, Jake.
Go hit. You're
Make
good.
us proud.
Atlanta News First.
If the softball game makes it to 121 hours, that means it will end on Sunday at 9 a.m.
Wow, and that's when players say that when they make it, they'll be celebrating with chicken and waffles. What other way?
Sounds pretty good. 5-minute bathroom breaks, 5-minute showers. Get back out there. It's for a great cause, though. What a cool story.
It is. That is impressive that they just rotate and keep on playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good luck to them. We will update you on Monday. Thanks for joining us here on Local News Live. Tonight, we'll leave you with a shot of Kansas City, courtesy our station, KCTV. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful night.
Local News Live, always.
Jody J.
There is a storm coming, an event like the world has never seen before. The emerging event will have little to do with weather, but more about developing situations that were foreseen many years ago. We have always warned you during severe weather and news events that affected many. Now, Channel 1 Atlanta begins a new series to warn you about what's coming soon and make sure you are prepared. Join us on a new journey, as according to a recent survey, a lot of people believe we are living in the last days. Current news events show us now more than ever. In history, time is setting the stage for the coming storm. A new series, now playing only on Channel 1 Atlanta.
Again, a confirmed tornado on the ground in downtown Conyers. This is a very dangerous and life-threatening weather event. Get into the interior section of your house, away from windows or a basement if you have. And there's the debris right there in the Millstead area near the Rockdale Medical Center. Right. Channel 1 Atlanta.
Now, the day of development is huge for a system like this. What day it develops can drastically change what the weather pattern is. And in addition to that, where it develops. The area of low pressure. The Central American Gyre is one larger low pressure, but it can pop off little mini low pressures in a multitude of different areas. We're talking Western Caribbean, potentially into the Bay of Campeche, or over Western Cuba. Where it pops off and what day will then dictate what areas need to be on alert as we finish out the month of September. Whether this is a named storm or not, I think we learned that lesson from PTC 8 or the coastal storm we've been tracking this week. We can still expect a lot of tropical moisture, especially for southern Florida. So that's going to be a concern, maybe for some low-end flash flooding, especially for an area like the Yucatan and western Cuba. We could see heavy to very heavy rain, even in spots like the Florida Keys. So this will be the threat to track as we finish out this week. Be sure to stay up to date on the latest information. We are your Hurricane HQ. We will bring it to you in the coming days. And here's a look at the storm that slammed the southeastern coastline out in North Carolina, especially in the town of Carolina Beach. The mayor of Carolina Beach, Lynn Barbie, joined us today to tell us more about the damage just 2 days after the worst of the storm.
It's receding quickly. You know, we live in a relatively flat area, so most of our ability to get that water out is through mechanical pumps. So it has been going down. We're down to just a small section of roadway through the kind of through the center of town is flooded, but certainly you can get around that now. We're just now beginning damage assessments, especially on the public issues. We've lost some pumps, we've lost some vehicles. Talking to residents, there's going to be some flooded cars, and people are, you know, cleaning out their homes and stuff where they took some water, but we don't have an overall estimate at this point.
Yeah, Mayor, I know your first responders there did a wonderful job. This flooding was widespread. A lot of people were stuck, stranded, and a lot of rescues had to happen. We saw one play out live right here on Fox Weather earlier this week. The great thing is that there were no injuries and no loss of life. But is there any indication of, for the community, things like the local businesses, folks' jobs, folks' homes, how long a recovery like this could take?
Well, I'm happy to say that we're probably about 90% of our businesses reopened today. You know, those that could just clean up as the water receded from their business. So I really think we're going to be in good shape for the weekend. Obviously, there's a few that are going to have probably even weeks or months of cleanup to do. So we're looking for actually a fairly strong weekend. It's we're a beach community. It's fishing season, prime fall beach season. So we think we'll be okay with that. We don't expect a lot of impact in that case, you know, in terms of their jobs and keeping their businesses open.
And Mayor, in the lead up to this, and even as this was playing out, I know the messaging was a challenge because by definition, this wasn't a tropical storm, but you live in a place that deals with tropical storms, and eyeball test the impacts, at least, looked a lot like one. Do you feel like your residents were aware that some of these hazards were possible?
Not only our residents, our elected officials, I don't think anyone was prepared. I've had a lot of conversations this week with emergency management and National Weather Service, NOAA people, that we need to think about this and develop a lexicon for describing things like this, not blaming anyone, but we just don't have a way. You know, if I call up a resident and say, hey, we got a Category 3 hurricane coming and we're in, 70% probability of the cone, they know what to do.
Yes.
In this case, no one knew what to do. No one that could even fathom 20 inches of rain. I mean, it's just, if you've never experienced that, there's not a city in this country that can handle 20 inches of rain.
No, excellent point, especially in that short of a period of time. The lion's share of that came down in 12 hours or less. So, yeah, it was a bit of a confusing situation where you have tropical storm warnings that were in effect for a system that wasn't tropical, but it was acting like one. So I agree with that, and it'll be something that needs to be looked at in the post-analysis after the season. But most importantly, it sounds like your community is well on its way to getting back to normal. We love hearing that. That's Mayor Lynn Barbie of Carolina Beach, North Carolina. Thanks for talking with us on Fox Weather.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Well, potential Tropical Cyclone 8 may not have gotten to tropical storm status, but definitely left its mark across North Carolina. You can see the streets there gushing and overflowing with the water. Not only was it an issue with coastal flooding due to high tides and the onshore flow of wind, but also freshwater flooding with over 2 feet of rain, or just shy of 2 feet of rain in certain spots. PTC 8 somewhat on the back burner, but we have the remnants of Gordon that we're watching, as well as the area to watch out into the Western Caribbean. So not much going on, but it's the Western Caribbean threat that we just touched on that has folks a little more on alert, especially because it is a bit closer to home. In regards to Gordon, or the remnants of this storm, it rapidly weakened, encountered a bit of dry air, not so great wind environment. But look at this. Over the next 7 days, we could see a resurgence, the ghost of Gordon, as we get closer and closer to Halloween. 50% chance of development over the next 7 days. So we could potentially be talking about Tropical Storm Gordon. Here's what it looked like over the visible satellite. You can see the winds there as well. This is over the last 6 to 12 hours or so. A few pops of convection, but it's as you head farther towards the north, we've seen a lot more convection in that part of the Atlantic Ocean. So we see more of this rising air kind of environment. What this means for everybody? Not much. For the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico, so the Caribbean islands, no big concerns in regards to Gordon. This storm is making its sharp turn up towards the north and won't bring any impacts to the U.S. coastline. We're waiting for the next named storm. That would be Helene. At one point, we thought we could have had subtropical Helene, which would have been PTC 8 if it took on tropical characteristics. Just didn't have enough oomph to do so when it comes to removing itself from the boundaries, the stationary boundaries we had into the Atlantic Ocean. So Helene more than likely looking to be like the Western Caribbean system. Some models pointing at maybe a hurricane, others saying tropical storm, others saying no development at all. So still a long way to go. As far as the H-named storm, we usually have already seen it by September 9th. It's the I-named storm where we're sitting at climatologically, and the I-named storm is the most retired letter because of the ferocity of a lot of the storm systems we've seen that have taken on the I name. Think back to just last year, we had Idalia, a Category 3 that hit the Big Bend region of Florida. So we'll see what happens out with this Western Caribbean threat, but it is certainly the one that we are tracking. In terms of the amount of time we've got left, 43% of activity remaining. We are over the hump of peak hurricane season. Still, though, in the most active part of the season, with September being the most active month, October the third active month of hurricane season. So we still got a long way to go. Here's some more video coming out of Carolina Beach, North Carolina. This was the spot that got hit the hardest in terms of the flooding. The roads turned into large lakes and rivers. A lot of different creepy crawlies as well that have been floating around into the water. We'll bring you more on where the coastal storm sits coming up next. You're watching Fox Weather at Night.
State Police confirming a body has been found in Laurel County. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Andrea Walker. The discovery was made near exit 49, the same location where Joseph Couch opened fire on vehicles driving along the interstate just 12 days ago. That video you just saw coming from YouTubers who've been searching for Couch alongside law enforcement for several days now. My co-anchor Marvin Bartlett just arrived on scene. Marvin, what can you tell us so far?
Andrea, you can see I am just off exit 49 here in northern Laurel County. Behind me, you can see a couple of state trooper cruisers blocking a service road. Somewhere up there in the woods, just off the interstate, is where that body was discovered this afternoon. State police confirmed that a male's body was found around 4:30. They say they are still working on getting an identity. No body has been removed from the woods at this point. You can imagine there's a great sense of relief in this area, though, because for the past 12 days, folks have been worried that perhaps there is an armed and dangerous man still in the area. This whole region has been searched thoroughly for 12 days with helicopters, drones, dogs, and more than 100 police from different organizations. But as you mentioned, it was a couple on their own, private citizens who were searching today, who came across the body not that far from where the shootings had taken place. Fred and Sheila McCoy are seen in that video with machetes going through a very thick area and coming up on a body that they describe as being very badly decomposed. They also mentioned seeing vultures in the area, so that may be what led them to a spot that police had been over probably several times in the days before this. There's still a lot of questions to be answered here. The police have not made any statements yet. And of course, we don't know for 100% sure that this is Joseph Couch, the man they were looking for, but there's no reason to believe it is not. People are relieved. They believe, of course, that that is him. We still don't know how he died. They'll want to know if he died by his own hand, if he fell from a cliff, died from hunger, or some other condition or cause. And those are all questions that will be answered. But for right now, we're just waiting to hear more from police. But there is relief in knowing that a body has been found. And by all accounts, it is the body of the main suspect in that mass shooting, Joseph Couch. Andrea, back to you.
Good information, Marvin. And we have been in touch with the McCoys who shot that video and claim to have found the body. We're still working to get back in touch with them. We do want to hear more about what led them to the body and their search as well. This is obviously a breaking story. We will keep you updated both on air and online as we learn more.
Again, a confirmed tornado on the ground in downtown Conyers. It's a very dangerous and life-threatening weather event. Get into the interior section of your house, away from windows or a basement if you have. And there's the debris right there in the Millstead area near the Rockdale Medical Center. Right. Channel 1 Atlanta.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody, and a very big hello to New York and a place called Long Island, which I know very well. And I'm thrilled to be back in the state I love with thousands of proud, patriotic New Yorkers who are really the heart and soul of America. We know that. And the reason I'm here is because it hasn't been done in many decades. It hasn't been done for a long time, but we are going to win New York. And that's the first time in many, many years that a Republican can honestly say it, and we're going to do it. We have to do it. We do it, and the election nationwide is over. We take over the White House, and we fix up our country, okay? We fix up our country. So as you know, 3 days ago, there was yet another assassination attempt on my life. I didn't know I was going to say that. It was the second one in 8 weeks by a violent radical left mobster. This evil would-be assassin got within a few hundred yards of where I stood, but thankfully, our outstanding Secret Service agent, and they are outstanding, spotted the barrel of his rifle in the bushes. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? He saw a barrel of a big, this was a big barrel. This you don't want to even talk about, AK-47. But he saw the barrel coming out a little bit out of the very lush bushes, and he took fast action to stop the gunman before I even entered the line of sight. And I want to express my thanks to the U.S. Secret Service, who was there that day, and to all of the sheriffs and law enforcement down in Florida, they're heroes who helped to apprehend the attacker. And by the way, you possibly heard the story. So the secret agent, service agent, pulled out the gun and started shooting. He said, a barrel. He didn't talk like a lot of people. They talk. How are you, sir? What would you like to talk about? Would you like to talk about the weather? No, he pulled out the gun and he started shooting at him. And the villain, no, but think of this. This could only happen with a woman because men aren't smart enough, I hate to tell you fellas. So he dropped his gun, his car was a block away, and he started running because they had him. And he was running. And a woman driving a car innocently said, he looks like a bad person to me. He looks very suspicious. And she followed him and pulled up to the back of the car and started taking pictures of his license plate. Can you believe that? And she took the pictures of his license plate, perfect, beautiful pictures like a professional photographer, and sent them to the sheriff and said, I just looked at a man, there was something strange going on. Who the hell would do that, right? Only a woman, only a woman. Well, then I asked the sheriff today, I said, so Sheriff, if you had 1,000 events, how many people would have done that? Man or woman, how many people would have done that? Followed him, taken pictures of the license plate and also the type of truck that he was driving. He said, maybe none. So she's a hero, I gotta meet her. And because of that, they were then able to catch him in a very speedy drive down the various highways in Florida, but they got him, and they got him fast. But I think it's incredible. So the agent and that wonderful woman, and with all of my heart, I thank you all for your incredible valor. What you've done is incredible. What the people of our country and law enforcement does in this country is incredible. Tonight, let me also deliver a message straight to Kamala Harris. Have you heard of her? Who, by the way, was just rated by far the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate, more so even further left than Bernie Sanders and Pocahontas. Pocahontas. She's more so. Elizabeth Warren, she's more left than Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. Let me also deliver a message straight to Kamala Harris, the radical left Democrat politicians, and the fake news media. Look how many are there. We've got to get our media back in this country. We've got to get them back. But the message is it's time to stop the lies, stop the hoaxes, stop the smears, stop the lawfare or the fake lawsuits against me, and stop claiming your opponents will turn America into a dictatorship. Give me a break. Because the fact is that I'm not a threat to democracy, they are. They're doing things in politics that have never been done before in the history of our country. And worst of all, with their open borders and bad elections, they have made us into a third world nation, something which nobody thought was even possible. Americans deserve a campaign based on the issues. We try and keep it on the issues. And God has now spared my life. It must have been God. Thank you. Not once, but twice. And there are those that say he did it because Trump is going to turn this state around. He's going to turn this country around. He's going to make America great again. And maybe. And we're going to bring back religion into our country. Bring it back. These encounters with death have not broken my will. They have really given me a much bigger and stronger mission. They've only hardened my resolve to use my time on earth to make America great again for all Americans, to put America first. Gonna put America first. Earlier today, I was honored to receive the endorsement of the rank and file membership of the Teamsters. I love the Teamsters. They delivered all that concrete for those buildings I built in New York. They delivered the big, heavy, most beautiful trucks you've ever seen. They delivered the concrete in all those buildings I built in New York. But, you know, this hasn't happened in so many decades. We won the overwhelming majority of the local chapters and the members, and as a result, the national organization has refused to endorse the Democrat candidate for the first time in many, many decades. And I also want to thank Teamsters President Sean O'Brien, amazing man, and all of the incredible rank and file Teamsters across the country, because this was a surprise. It's automatic. They endorse the Democrats, automatic for many, many decades. But you know what? They said, they looked at her, they said, we're not going there, I'm sorry. These are tough people. And together we will secure our borders, we will protect our workers, we will defend our jobs, we will rebuild our country with American skill and American pride and American labor. Right? And just as a little side note, we should give them a round, especially because of what they and how they voted today. If they voted the other way, I wouldn't give them a round. But the Teamsters built out this beautiful stadium for tonight's event. Thank you, Teamsters. Thank you. They did a great job. To every hardworking American, whether you live in a red state, a swing state, or a state with a failed Democrat rule, this year we need to elect all Republicans up and down the ballot. We have to clean out and straighten out our country. With your vote, we are going to rescue our country. We are going to rescue our Democrat-run states. We are going to start by saving the great state of New York. Is that good? When I told some people in Washington, yeah, I'm going up to New York, we're doing a campaign speech, they said, what do you mean New York? You can't ever, nobody can win, Republicans can't win. I said, I can win New York and we can win New York. We're going to win New York. And if you vote for me, I'm going to reduce your taxes, reduce your crime, and reduce your levels of stress, because you have a lot of stress. The only thing that I will increase are your incomes, and your love for your state will come roaring back again. Throughout American history, from generation to generation, New York has always set the standard for American life, and they have. It's been a high standard, too. Our cities were the center of business, arts, culture, our streets, ports, waterways, and they were the arteries of American commerce. They were absolute arteries. And our towns like Uniondale, Levittown, Hicksville, Huntington, these were great, great towns where you grew up and you loved and you stayed. But look at what has happened to New York and the other states, all run by radical left Democrats, every single one of them. Our heavy industries have exported overseas, and our middle class has been eviscerated, right here at home, been eviscerated. Housing costs are out of control. Inflation has cost a typical family $28,000. Think of it, in less than 4 years, $28,000. And we filthy encampments. We have horrible, disgusting, dangerous, filthy encampments of junkies and homeless people living in places that our children used to play Little League baseball, which they don't get to play very much anymore, do they? Over the past 3 years in New York City, there has been a 29% increase in robbery, a 36% increase in felony assault, a 42% increase in grand larceny, a 75% increase in carjackings. Did you buy a nice car lately? Well, 200 police officers leave the NYPD, New York's finest. I always say, I knew it well. New York's finest. They leave every single month, 200 people a month. Incredible people. They're incredible people. The trains and subways are squalid and unsafe. The median of our highway, all those medians, they spend all that money, they're falling down, they're rotting. Businesses are fleeing. The mobs of illegal migrants are being put up in luxury hotels at your expense, while our great veterans live on the freezing or steaming sidewalks right outside the main entrance to where the migrants enter their hotel. Think of that. Think of it. We have veterans lying on the street, squalid, lying on the street, sometimes freezing, sometimes it's hot, it's summer. And they're looking at people just came into our country, and they're going up to the 17th floor of their suite. How crazy has our country become? And can you imagine what those veterans, when they watch this, must be saying? But listen to this. Can you also imagine what the migrants must be thinking? They're saying, can you believe this? We just came from a place, in many cases, they were in prisons, and now they're living in hotel suites while our veterans are living on the street. And so I say to the people of New York, with crime at record levels, with terrorists and criminals pouring in, and with inflation eating your hearts out, vote for Donald Trump. What the hell do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Think of it. What the hell do you have to lose? You know, some of you remember that was a phrase that I used for our black population years ago in 2016. I said, with the worst housing conditions, the worst education, the worst this, the worst that, the most crime. I went through 12 different things. and it wasn't on the sheets. And I'm saying, boy, that's really terrible. And I said, and I was at like 2%, not too good. And I said to the black population gathered in front of me, vote for Trump. What the hell do you have to lose? I said that, same thing. And you know what happened? I got eviscerated when I went backstage. But I'm not like Biden where he takes, I fight back with my people. Remember, we still signed the check. They said, sir, that's a terrible thing to have said. I said, what you said, what the hell do you have to lose? It's terrible, it's demeaning, it's horrible. I said, but it's true. You know what happened? The next day, I picked up 10 points with the black population. And now, because of all we've done, we're at the highest level of black support in the history of the Republican Party. And by the way, the Hispanic support, do we have any Hispanics? The Hispanic support is off the charts, and they don't know what the hell to do about it. It's off the charts. And we just had some great polling come out. I think the most accurate poll over the last 8 or 9 years was Rasmussen. They just came out with a poll that we're 5 up. We're 5 up. 5 up. We should be 35 up, to be honest with you. But, some people can't break an old habit. That's really what it is. So I say to you, vote for Trump, and I will turn it around very quickly with 4 more years of Kamala Harris. New York State will be like a third world nation if it isn't already. It is. I think it is. With Trump, the Empire State will once again be the envy of the entire world. We will have no crime, only success. And unlike your current radical Democrat regime, I'm not driven by partisan ideology. I'm driven by results, and I'm driven by New York common sense. It's common sense, right? Right? It's common sense. I like to say the party, this is a great party. I like to say the party is really, we're conservative and all that, right? Who knows? You know what we are? We're really people with common sense. We need walls. We need good elections. We want low taxes. We want great police officers that are well taken care of. We don't want to defund the police. We're the party of common sense more than anything else, and it's picked up a lot of steam. It's true. My first week back in the Oval Office, I will clean up and call up your governor and mayors all across your state, and I will tell them it's time to work together. They're largely Democrats. It's time to work together for the good of the people. Going to do it. And despite all of the persecution I've endured from the corrupt judicial system in New York, it's a corrupt system. I love the people of this state, and I want to give back. I want to give back to you. I've had a great life. I want to give back to you. We're going to give it back to you. We're going to make this city and we're going to make this state incredible again. Together, we will rebuild our roads, bridges, highways, and airports. They're falling apart. They're falling down. We will renovate New York subway. Oh, that's beautiful. I used to go to school on the subway. Can you believe it? I mean, I like to say it's not so long ago, but it probably is. What do you think, Bruce? I guess it is. But my parents would drop me off at a subway, and I'd go to Union Turnpike, or I'd go to wherever They had no fear that I was going to be disappearing. They would take me to a subway, put me on and say, bye, darling, bye. If you do that today, you have about a 75% chance that you'll never see your child again. What the hell has happened here? What has happened? We will renovate the New York subway so that the greatest city in the world finally has, again, the greatest transit system anywhere in the world. You have the basics. We have to clean it. We have to take care of it. We have to give it a little love. And we have to get the criminals the hell out of there. We will once again support our incredible police officers, New York's finest. A lot of them. You know, I've got the support. To me, this is so important. I think to you, it's every single police group in the nation is supporting me. The other day, the Fraternal Order, it's the largest. They gave us 400,000 police, and they gave us a unanimous endorsement. We have it from everybody. We have it from everybody. We will work with the mayors and the governor to rebuild your defunded and depleted police forces, including New York's finest and NYPD. Look, I know so much about, I love New York's finest. I used to be in Brooklyn. I had an office with my father in Brooklyn. And we used to go in Brooklyn to a White Castle. Did anyone ever hear of a White Castle? And my father would say, no, that's the best place. Only 12 cents a hamburger. Remember? 12 cents. Bruce, we had Bruce. How good is Bruce? Bruce Blakeman, one of the greats. He won in an upset. You know, this is a Republican. He ran a couple of times. You couldn't beat this hoax of Democrats. He ended up winning. He's done such a good job. He's now unbeatable. They don't even run anybody against him. Great. Really great. We got a lot of them. Joe Cairo's here. Joe, are we going to win, Joe? What do you think? Joe Cairo. Don't mess with Joe, right, Joe? We love you, man. Your family's great, too. But I will stop the Kamala crime wave, and we will do everything we can. We're going to get these violent criminals behind bars. We're going to get them out of our country. We're going to take them back to the country from which they came. A few months ago, I visited with the grieving family of a New York City police officer, Jonathan Diller. You know Jonathan Diller? I was hoping his family could be with us. He was just 31 years old, gunned down during a traffic stop by a vicious thug, leaving behind his incredible wife, Stephanie, and family, their one-year-old son. What a son. And are you here? Are they here? They could be here. Is Stephanie here? Because, you know, it was a bond, and she was so great, and I think she's here. It's hard when you have 19,000 people. And Stephanie, unlike a lot of my friends, doesn't want adulation. Honestly, what she wants more than that, she wants her husband back. That's what she wants. She doesn't want adulation. I have other friends. You'd find them. I have other friends. If you said their name, they'd be jumping up. Here I am. Here I am. Stephanie doesn't want that. What a great family. What a great family, and what a great guy he was. The criminal charge was savagely murdering Officer Diller, was previously arrested by the NYPD 21 times, right? 21 times, Bruce. And the accomplice driving the car had been arrested 14 times, but he was actually much worse. He was more vicious. 14 times, but he was actually far more vicious. This is the kind of story we hear every single day under radical Democrat policies like cashless bail, cashless bail. You kill somebody, and you're out on the streets in 2 hours. Cashless bail has been a disaster for our country. Kamala Harris wanted it no matter where she went. She boasted about being the leader of the movement of cashless bail, just like she led the effort to defund the police. You know, she was the leader of the effort to defund the police, and now she's running for president. But a little while ago, like everything else, no fracking, no this, she changed her mind. Now she says she likes the police. She can't say love, but she says like. She's made a lot of progress, but you know the first thing that would happen is she will go to defunding the police, if that's even possible to think about. But when I get back into the Oval Office, the madness ends and the law and order is going to return to our country. A fully reformed Federal Department of Justice will deliver massive public safety funding for New York and other Democrat-run cities that are under siege. But in exchange, they will give our police back their protection and their respect. We are going to take care of our police, and we're going to respect our police. Everyone here does. I tell the officers all the time, you have no idea how the people love you, but sometimes they don't feel it because of what the Democrats do to them. They will end deadly sanctuary city policies. They will terminate cashless bail, and they will return to proven policing methods like we had under Mayor Rudy Giuliani that made New York City the safest big city in America. Simultaneously, we are going to make life in New York State affordable again. Little word, affordable. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for 4 more years of job losses. Look at what's happening. Businesses that are fleeing, money draining out of your state, and hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants sucking your public resources dry. You know, I've always heard for 20 years, I've heard that New York City has no money, and yet they're going to spend $3 billion on illegal migrants, and they're not getting it from the federal government. You wonder, they never had money, but they have $3 billion to take care of people that came into our country illegally. Doesn't make sense. But under the Trump economic plan, we will cut your energy prices in half within 12 months. Half! Because we have more liquid gold under our feet and we don't use it. We go to places like Venezuela when we have more than Russia. We have more than Saudi Arabia. You remember I got Anwar approved in Alaska. It's the biggest site anywhere in the world, probably bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Russia. And what did they do? In the first week in office, Ronald Reagan tried so hard he couldn't get it. I got it. The biggest site in the world, Alaska. And in the first week in office, they terminated it. We'll have it back very quickly, I promise you that. We will rapidly defeat inflation. We're going to bring your prices down. All they're doing is they've cut it, but you're up 55 or 60%. People that used to live a nice life 4 years ago, they can't afford an apple. A woman, they showed a picture of a woman the other day. I said, boy, that's sad. That should never happen to her. She went to the counter, the cashier, she had 3 apples. And when she was standing with the cashier, she realized she didn't have enough money for one of the apples, and she took the apple, brought it back, and she bought 2 apples. That shouldn't be happening in our country. That shouldn't be happening in our country. We will cut interest rates, cut insurance costs, and insurance is horrible. And massively, we will cut your taxes again. I gave you the largest tax cut in the history of our country. And we have some to go. Kamala Harris, as you look at her plan, will give you, very simply, the largest tax hike in American history. She's going to lift your taxes. This is the only person I've ever seen, and Biden too. They announced that they're going to raise your taxes, and it's supposed to be good politically. I don't think so. I don't know. I've never seen that, Anthony, before, where they say they're going to raise your taxes. They're going to raise your taxes. Vote for me, I'm going to raise your taxes. Can you believe it? I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that, because the news will say, vote for me, I'm going to raise it. They're going to say, they're going to attribute it to me. I can't do that. I told our great First Lady I will not be sarcastic anymore. When you joke or when you're sarcastic, the fake news will take a story like that. I'll say, I never said I was going to raise your taxes. Yes. Vote for me, I'll raise your taxes. Kiddingly, kiddingly, kiddingly. These people are the worst. When I imitated Joe Biden because he couldn't get off a stage. So I'd imitate him because he couldn't find the stairs and look around. He finished the speech, the speech would last maybe 3 minutes, maybe a little less than that. And then he'd want to get off the stage, and it always go like this. But you remember, we're not running against him, we're running against somebody who's actually much worse. Ready? And he'd go like this. And then he'd walk in a different direction. It was the weirdest thing. And Secret Service did a great job. They'd come up in the stage and they'd pull him out. Like today, we have 4 or 5 stairs. You always have 4, 5, 6 stairs. The more it's government owned, the more stairs you have. But you always have a lot. So I said to our great First Lady, who can draw a crowd? Did you watch me tonight on television, First Lady? People love our First Lady out there. Go out and get a book. She just wrote a book. I hope she said good things about it. I don't know. I didn't. So busy. She just wrote a book called Melania. Go out and buy it. It's great. And if she says bad things about me, I'll call you all up and I'll say, don't buy it. Get rid of it. No, but she said to me, I said, baby, did you see the crowd? We had 18,000 people. We could have filled it up 3 or 4 times. Bruce Blakeman said to me, if we went to a stadium or a park, we would have had 100,000 people or more. So I'd call up my wife and I'd say, baby, who could draw crowds? Nobody can draw crowds like me. Nobody, not even close. I'm the greatest of all time, maybe greater even than Elvis, because Elvis had a guitar. I don't have a guitar. Elvis had a guitar. I don't have the privilege of a guitar. But I'd say, baby, who could do it like me? Nobody can do it like me. How great am I? And she'd say, and she'd say, I'd say, how great was the speech? Not how good, how great was it? And she'd say, it was good, but your hair looked terrible tonight. Or the worst ever. So I said, how good was it, First Lady? And she said, it was good, but you couldn't find your way off the stage. I was imitating Biden, and they said I did it. I couldn't find my way off the stage. No, so you can't be sarcastic. Sarcasm with the media doesn't work, okay? It doesn't. So I've given up about 90% of it. I got all my friends here. Anthony, stand up. Anthony Lomangino, one of the greats of all time. He said, I have a big business problem. What? I have too much cash. I don't know what to do with it. I said, I've heard of worse problems than that, Anthony, right? He's doing good. He's a great man, great businessman, and a great person. Kamala wants income tax hikes, small business tax hikes, capital gains tax hike. How about the capital gains? She wants a tax, unrealized capital gain. That means she wants to give you a capital gain, even if you have stock. She wants to give you a capital gain, even if you didn't sell it. I know a lot of people, they're very rich, but they don't have cash. They're rich, but they don't have cash. A lot of them, it's like that. Farmers are like that. They have great land, great everything. They make income, but they don't have cash. And you know what I did for farmers and small business in the tax hike? And nobody talks about this. I got rid of the estate tax, or the death tax, as they would call it. So that when you die and you pass it on to your children who you love, if you don't love your children, then it's not going to do you any good. And there are those. Does anybody in this incredible arena, they did a nice job, by the way, fixing it. I remember the old one. Does anybody in this incredible arena not love their children? Who in the arena is rich and will not leave their money to their kids? Because if that's the case, then what they did for you doesn't mean anything. Do I have any hands? 20,000 people and I have no hands. Okay, who wants to leave their money to their kids? That's good. Well, in the old days, you'd leave the money to the kids, and what would happen? The kids would have to go out and borrow money. They'd lose everything. They had to borrow money from a bank at a high rate of interest. Now they don't have to do that anymore. Now you can leave your farm, you can leave your small business to your kids, but Kamala wants to end that. She wants to end it. She wants to raise your tax to a level that nobody's ever heard of before, and it's crazy. We will go in to a I thought this was a wise guy coming up. This guy, I thought, I'm getting ready. I'm going like this. You know, I got a little bit of a yip problem here, right? That was amazing. I was all ready to start duking it out. I felt like my man in the front row here. Stand up, will you please? This is the toughest man. You know him? Do you all know? I'm going to introduce you later so you can sit. He's the toughest guy. If somebody walked on the stage, he wouldn't be afraid. He would already be attacking the poor guy. Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? It's the first time that's ever happened, I think. Is he new to the game? I think so. By contrast, I will cut taxes for families, small businesses, and workers, including restoring the SALT deduction, saving thousands of dollars for residents of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and other high-cost states. Going to restore SALT. Jobs and factories will pour back into New York. I know how to do it better than anybody's ever known how to do it, and we can do it so easily. Wages will soar, the cost of living will fall, and I will deliver the greatest economy in the history of the world to our country, and one of the greatest economies in the history of New York State. And a key part of restoring safety and saving our economy is stopping the invasion at the border of our country. It's crazy. Under border czar Kamala Harris, you know, she was the border czar until she started looking at this situation, until the coup. I say until the coup because there was a coup. But she was a border czar. Now she said, I was never the border czar. You know what? Give her that. But she was in charge of the border, and the border is the worst run border in the history of the world. There's never been a border like this. 21 million people, illegal aliens are coming in from all over the world, from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. Many tourists are coming in just to watch. Did you ever see this? You have tourists that line up to take pictures of it. They usually turn out to be the fake news, and the pictures are so bad they never show it. You know, the fake news never, ever talks about it, but we have massive numbers of terrorists coming in to our country. You have everybody coming in. We have people that can't speak the language. The great Tom Homan told me the other day, great guy, central casting guy, great guy. He told me the other day, last month, they figured it out for the last 12 months, 168 different countries came in, represented, and came into our country. Most people don't even know you have that many countries. You actually have over 200, but most people don't know. But I want to be known as one thing. In 2016, I probably won because of the border. I did a great job. I cleaned it up, and the border was good. And in 2020, even though I got millions and millions more votes, they said, sir, if you get the same number of votes as you did in 2016, 63 million, sir, you cannot lose. I got millions more, and I lost. But you know what? We're going to have the greatest win in history when we pull this one off. It's going to be legendary. But in 2020, my people say, sir, it doesn't help for you to speak about the border. Nobody cares. I said, I want to speak about the border. I did a great job. Sir, nobody cares. It's true. I talk about the border. Nobody cared. But now they care, because now the border is 25 times worse than it was in 2016. Now the border is not even believable what's happening. And I want to be known as your border president. I'm going to be known as your border president. And Kamala will be known as your invasion president. Just let them all come in. Let them all come in. Now, we got to save our country. Our country's going down. If you look at what's happening with the Venezuelans taking over, I mean, they're taking over large pieces of real estate in Colorado, and you have a Democrat governor who's petrified of them. He's afraid. I'd never seen anything like it, and he doesn't want to talk about it. They've taken over your buildings and your land. You got to do something about it. That wouldn't happen with Bruce Blakeman, I can tell you right now. Bruce, would you let people come in from a foreign country like Venezuela, where, by the way, their crime rate is down 72% because they've taken their prisoners, they've taken their gangs, they've taken their drug dealers, and they've shipped them all to the United States, so their crime rate's down. But Bruce, would you ever tell the people that you're supposed to be protecting when they call? A lot of Venezuelans are in here and they have very big guns. Would you say, listen, I don't really want to do anything about it? Would you do that? Or would you say, don't worry, we'll have a force of people over there within minutes and it would all be over, right? Right? I think so. No, he wouldn't play games. He wouldn't play games. But you know, these people, the law enforcement, they're afraid in these places because it's so violent. They've never seen people like this. These are violent people that they're allowing into our country. It is truly an invasion, and we're not going to let it happen. We're going to take those violent people and we're going to ship them back to their country. And if they come back in, they're going to pay a hell of a price. Thank you. We have no choice. We have no choice. It's not like, you know, this is not sustainable by any country. This is not sustainable. How about in Springfield, Ohio? They had 32,000. This is a little beautiful town. No crime, no problem. 32,000 illegal immigrants come into the town, 32. So they almost doubled their population in a period of a few weeks. Can you believe it? And you know what? They've got to get much tougher. I'm going to go there in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to Springfield and I'm going to Aurora. You may never see me again, but that's okay. Got to do what I got to do. Whatever happened to Trump? Well, he never got out of Springfield. I'm leading in Ohio by like 15 points, a lot. And we're going to take care of Ohio, and we're going to take care of Colorado, and we're going to take care of every single state in the union. They're all under siege. A lot of people don't talk about. But think of this. So the mayor of Springfield, and I think he's a very nice person, but instead of saying we're getting them all out, we're getting them out, he says very simply, we're hiring teachers to teach them English. Can you believe it? We are hiring interpreters, so when they go to school and take the place of our children in school, we have an interpreter. Each one will have a private interpreter. What the hell is wrong with our country? No. We're getting them out of our country. They came in illegally. They're destroying our country. We're getting them out. They're going to be brought back to the country from which they came. I will protect our country. I will protect our country. Think of it. She will surrender our country. That's what they're doing. They still refuse to acknowledge that these people have to be taken out. And you start with the stone cold killers, the murderers, the drug dealers. You get them out, and you tell them if they ever come back, big trouble. But let me tell you what you really do. Some of them are so bad you can't take the chance of sending them out because they'll come back. You lock them up, and it's going to be there for a long time. And when they know that, you'll see a whole big difference. As you know, here on Long Island, the open borders policies of Kamala Harris, and it were really her policies, and the communist left, I call it the communist left, have been importing MS-13 gang members by the thousands. I don't know what it is about Long Island, but you know, I took thousands and thousands of gang members out. Do you remember the story? Remember, I came into the presidency, and MS-13 was on my mind because I saw that in Long Island, 2 beautiful young girls were walking to school. They were 16 years old, and an MS-13 gang of deviants grabbed the girls and sliced them up into pieces. Not with guns. They didn't want guns. They killed the 2 girls. They sliced them into little pieces. And I never forgot that. And then I found out that things like that are happening all over, wherever they are. MS-13, the worst gang anywhere. The only thing good about that is they make our gangs look like very nice people, I want to tell you. These are the worst people. They're animals. And Nancy Pelosi said, you shouldn't call people animals. That's not appropriate. They're animals. That's the philosophy. And I said, I got to the White House, and I said, they have a lot in Ohio, a lot in every state. And I said, I want MS-13 out of here. They come from various places, a little bit south of Mexico. They come from Mexico, too. And I said, what I want you to do is I want to bring them out. And a general said, sir, I'm sorry, sir. The countries will not, under any circumstances, allow us to bring them back in. They don't want them anymore, sir. I said, how long has this been going on? Many years during the Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him? Many years, sir, under the Barack Hussein Obama administration. It's been going on for years, sir. They won't take them. You know what they do? They would take Honduras, okay? Think of it. They would take planes, and they would put them on the runways. They would put the planes, El Salvador, or different countries, some of the roughest gangs. They put big commercial aircraft. So when a plane is going to fly in with 200 or 300 MS-13 killers, you couldn't land the plane. They said, sir, we can't get them back. All of the bus routes are blocked. We can't get the buses in. And when they know a plane is coming, they put planes on the runway. Sir, we won't be able to do it. I said, I think you will. How much money do we pay them for? Economic development of the dictator's house. How much money do we pay them, General? I'll get back to you, sir. He comes back the next day, sir, we pay them $750 million a year. It's a lot. Let me tell you, it's peanuts compared to some of the money that we pay, but it's a lot of money. I said, inform these countries that under no circumstances are they getting any money anymore. They're not getting any money. They are delinquent. They're not allowing us to bring back people that they forced into our country through caravans. So they informed them, and the next day I get to the Oval Office nice and early, and I get calls from 3 particular countries separately. Sir, there seems to be a problem or a misunderstanding. I said, yeah, there is a misunderstanding. You're not taking your MS-13 people that you sent into our country. You're not taking them back. And I'm going to not give any money to your country forever. You're never getting 10 cents. And in all cases, they said something to the effect, sir, it is so bad that I didn't know about this. I wish I would have known about it. We would love to take MS-13 back into our country. We love them very much. We will take them back, sir. And that day, that afternoon, we started bringing them out of our country by the thousands and thousands and thousands. And the worst part of the story is, now, I still didn't pay them. I figured. But now they're getting $4 billion a year under Biden. Biden said, do it. Maybe she knew about it. I don't want to blame her if she didn't, but $4 billion. You know why? Because he wants them to create a beautiful environment so that they say that that's not going to happen. Okay, the money's going to be stolen all over the place. So instead of $750, it's now at $4 billion. An estimated 75% of arrests in Midtown Manhattan and over 60% of arrests in Queens are now illegal aliens. Congratulations. Congratulations. And you know this. In Queens a few months ago, an illegal alien released by Kamala Harris, she was in charge of the border, approached 2 13-year-old children with a machete in broad daylight, forced them into the woods, tied them together by the wrists and raped them, injured them terribly, very badly. You know about it. In the Bronx, another illegal alien that Kamala Harris set loose into our country approached a 36-year-old woman while pretending to ask for directions. Ma'am, he said, I'd like directions to someplace. Before he wrapped his arms around her throat, pinned her down on a park bench, and raped her all night and beat the hell out of her. And you know what she said? She said, "He didn't rape me, he tried to kill me." That was her expression when the police came. And on Coney Island, a place I know well, just weeks ago, 2 migrants, Kamala let in, raped a 46-year-old woman with a knife to her throat. She was badly, badly beaten, probably going to live. For every New Yorker being terrorized by this wave of migrant crime, and I've been talking about migrant crime for 5 years, I said, if you let them in, it's going to be hell. They are vicious, violent criminals that are being let into our country. They're people that their countries who are very smart, they don't want them. That's why all over the world, a lot of people coming from jails out of the Congo in Africa. Where do you come from? The Congo. Where in the Congo? We come from jail. What did you do? We will not tell you. They're coming from the Congo. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from all over the world. Asia. A lot of it coming from Asia. And what's happening to our country is we're just destroying the fabric of life in our country, and we're not going to take it any longer. And you got to get rid of these people. Give me a shot. You will have a safe New York within 3 months. 3 months. For every New Yorker being terrorized by this wave of migrant crime, November 5th will be your liberation day. It's going to be liberation because you are living like hell. You're living a life like hell. I will launch a special task force of elite federal law enforcement people, many of whom I already know, that are tough, and charge them with crushing the MS-13 remnants. You know, the problem is I got them out and now they come back in. They just walk back in like there's nothing to it. But eliminating MS-13 in every foreign gang and organized criminal network opening up on American soil. They're coming in by the millions, not by the hundreds. They're coming in by the millions. Think of it. Probably 21 million people. That's probably a low number. We can do all of this and more, but patriotic New Yorkers must get your asses out to vote. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Harry, get up, Harry. Harry, get your fat ass out of the couch. You're gonna vote for Trump today, Harry. Get up, Harry. Come on, let's go. Let's go, Harry. We gotta vote. Gotta vote. And I believe we have the vote. You know, it's an interesting thing. Evangelical Christians, they tend not to vote very much. If they did, you'd never lose. Gun owners, I have the total endorsement of the NRA, have had it from the beginning. Gun owners don't vote, meaning they don't vote in a proportion that they should. Very small numbers vote. It's probably rebellion, who knows what it is. The gun owners have to get out and vote. Evangelicals, Christians have to get out and vote. People have to get out. There are some groups that don't vote like they should, and we're going to win. We're pleased to be joined tonight by members of Congress that are really terrific, that are warriors, really warriors. And one of them in particular, I love what she did to that woman at Harvard. Oh, that was not pretty. Elise Stefanik. Where is Elise? Where is she? Where is she? She is so great. Where the hell is she? Thank you, Elise. Boy, she was great. Mark Molinaro. Great. Nick LaLota. Nick. Thank you, Nick. Great job. He's doing a good job. Here's another one doing a good job. I gave him a big endorsement, Anthony D'Esposito. He's doing a great job. Thank you, Anthony. Salt. Salt, Anthony. Remember, fellas, salt. Brandon Williams, doing great. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you very much. Nick Langworthy, terrific guy. Claudia Tenney. Where's Claudia? Where's Claudia? She's been amazing. Congressional candidates, Mike LePetri. Where's Mike? Thank you, Mike. Good. I heard you leading big. And Allison Esposito, she's a tough one. Allison, thank you. Thank you very much. It's tough, you know, when you have this many people. I'm looking around, where's one person? Thank you very much, Allison, beautiful. Senate candidate Mike Sapriacone. Mike Sapriacone. Come on, Mike, where's Mike? You gotta win, Mike. We gotta win that one, Mike. You could do that. You could do that. A former senator and a friend of mine for a long time, and we had disputes every once in a while, but generally I would say it was a 10 relationship, and he was a tough cookie, Senator Al D'Amato. Right? Good man, a good man. A great lawyer and congressman, and he helped me a lot during impeachment hoax #1 and impeachment hoax #2. They were hoaxes. Congressman Lee Zeldin. He's great. And he's a big part of our campaign, and I want to bring him to Washington with us. He's a great lawyer. Get ready. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, who's fantastic. A mayor who was a fantastic mayor, very shy kind of a guy. He took crime, it was terrible. It was at a level that was as bad as today. And he made New York the safest big city in the world. Rudy Giuliani. Boy, Rudy, isn't that great? And his son, who happens to be a great golfer. A lot of people say, oh, how's Andrew? Not that good. Let me tell you, he's seriously good. Andrew Giuliani. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Did a good job. And a very beautiful little boy who went through hell. But I brought him some presents. That's why I was late for you today. I brought him presents. I said, Liam, do you think the crowd of 20,000 plus a lot of people outside, you know, we put up big televisions on the back of the building, but that's not like being here. It's wonderful. Hello out there. I hope you're enjoying it. Big, big, beautiful screens. We have big screens. Not quite like being in the third row, first row. But Liam LaCastro is here, and he is a great young man. He's gone through a lot, but he's going to be better soon. Right, Liam? And I got him the most beautiful present. He's a great boy, great parents, beautiful sister. Also with us are members of New York City Firefighters Union, Local 94, the largest in the city. Thank you, fellas. Incredible people. And in their honor, and I think this is a big deal, because in your honor, I am announcing tonight that as president, I will officially make the Ground Zero site at the World Trade Center a national monument, protected and maintained by the United States government, so that hallowed ground and the memory of those who perished there will be preserved for all time, preserved forever. And you deserve it. A lot of great people. I met them last week. Thank you. Thank you. Well, and I met him last week with the ceremony, and it was a beautiful ceremony, and met a lot of fantastic people. The New Yorkers who created the 9/11 National Memorial and Museum really did an amazing job, didn't they? And many of them are here today, and I want to thank them. And I want to ensure that their outstanding work is sustained forever, and that's what we've done by doing this. So we are just 48 days away from the most important election in American history. The most important. Stand up. Now you can stand up. They didn't put your name down. Turn around. Who is he? Name him. He took care of business, right? It's my man. Good. Boy, I'm glad I didn't forget you. Good guy, good friend of mine for a long time. Whenever I had problems, I'd look at him and they'd say, let's leave Trump alone. Thank you, man. Thank you. We appreciate it. Great gentleman. Kamala Harris is for wide open borders with terrorists and criminals pouring into our country, more inflation, even higher than the last 4 years, which was a record. She wants to pack the Supreme Court. Think of that one. And today, I heard it all. I thought they wanted maybe 11, maybe they wanted 13. That's an unlucky number, so maybe it would be 15 instead of 9. But instead of 9, Kamala wants to bring up potentially as many as 25 justices so that they can rig the system like they rig everything else, including elections. And maybe one of the worst things of all, she is a true believer. And again, I said this before, if you wanted to defund the police, if you've been there even for a day, in your mind you want to defund the police even for one day, you are not qualified to be the President of the United States. Because anybody who wants to defund the police, we can't have it. We can't have it. It'll go down. It'll go down. We're not going to let our country fail. It's too great. And you know what? If we don't win this election, it's very possible we'll never have another chance. We have to do it. You have to get out. You have to vote. But Kamala vowed to abolish ICE. She supports free health care for illegal aliens. How about that one? You don't get free health care. These are all things that she was for years. Now, for the last little while, she's saying, no, I don't really think that was right anymore. 15 different things. She wants mass amnesty and citizenship for all illegals, which means totally bankrupting Social Security and Medicare. She wants to put illegal aliens into your Social Security and your Medicare system, which guarantees their bankruptcy. She says we must not utter the words illegal alien again or radical Islamic terrorist again. And think of this, during her 3.5 year, to me this is the worst thing I talk about tonight, it's unbelievable. During her period of 3.5 years, she was in charge of the border. She lost more than 325,000 migrant children, many of whom have been trafficked, raped, and many of whom are dead. Many of whom are dead. Think of what that is. That's like Yankee Stadium filled up many, many times. Think of it. Think of it. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person. I'd never heard of this. Rape of a very unconscious person as totally nonviolent crimes. She vowed repeatedly to ban fracking. She imposed a natural gas export ban that is crushing the state of Pennsylvania. I'm way up in Pennsylvania, by the way. This helps. She's not going to let, the day after the election, all of these things come back. I hope you know that. She praised the idea of a tax rate of between 70 and 80%, and her only idea for solving inflation is to impose communist-inspired price controls, which have never worked. She pledged to abolish. Does anybody here have private health care? You worked hard. She wants to abolish anybody that's worked hard and made some money. Private health care, no more private health care, and force everyone into a socialist government-run health care with high taxes and deadly wait times. And she even endorsed free sex change operations for illegal aliens in detention, all at taxpayer expense. Now think of that one. They come into the country illegally and they say, I want to change my sex. Oh, that's okay. She's totally in favor of it. I'm sure she'll deny it now, but that's what she is. In 2021, Joe Biden tasked Kamala Harris with bringing broadband to rural America. Rural America was dying for it. and gave her $42 billion to do the job. 3 years later, right now, not a single home has been connected to broadband. Everyone's saying, what happened to the money? $42 billion, not one home. And in the Midwest, you read this, in the Midwest, they built 8 charging stations. That's like a gas pump with electricity, right? 8. They spent $9 billion to build 8 charging stations. Other than that, it really works well. I will end the electric mandate on cars immediately. And I have to say this, look, Elon Musk is great. He's a great guy, and he makes a great car. And as strong as I am on this, because I think they're incredible, but it's limited. Some people want them, and some people love them. I think they're incredible, and he makes a great product, maybe the best product I hear. And he understands this. Some people have to go far distances. Some people don't want the additional cost. Some people don't want their car built in China. Electric cars will be built in China. I'm going to bring back the auto industry. We're going to have gasoline-powered cars. We're going to have hybrids. We're going to have electric cars. We're going to have everything. The new one is hydrogen. I heard about that the other day. Hydrogen. There's one little problem. If it blows up, you're dead. It's great until one day there's a little bit of a problem, Anthony, and it blows up. And when that happens, it's not a pretty picture. So I think I'll take a pass on that one, if you don't mind, for a while. And just today, 3 agencies of the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden administration, the FBI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, they just released a report confirming that Iran actors hacked into the Trump campaign's email accounts and in turn sought to give the hacked materials to the Biden-Harris campaign. They gave them all of the materials because Biden is working with Iran, and Iran doesn't exactly like me because they were ready to make a deal, except we had an election that was rigged and stolen. And look at what's happening to our world now. But no, Iran hacked into my campaign. I don't know what the hell they found. I'd like to find out. Couldn't have been too exciting. But they gave it to the Biden campaign. I can't believe it. Oh, yes, I can. But this is really foreign election interference. This is real election interference, not the phony crap that they've been trying to pin on me with Russia, Russia, Russia for years. Whatever happened to Russia, Russia, Russia? Remember the 51 intelligence agents? They said, no, no, the laptop from hell, it's Russia. No, it was Hunter. Hunter. It was Hunter. Remember that? We had to go 2.5 years, and then they finally said, all right, the Mueller, remember Mueller? He said, in millions of phone calls, Trump didn't make one to Russia. They went through every phone call I made. Can you imagine? In millions of calls, not one call to me. And a lot of people apologize for that, but not enough people apologize. They wasted time and money. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars going after me, and they got nothing.
There is a storm coming, an event like the world has never seen before. The emerging event will have little to do with weather, but more about developing situations that were foreseen many years ago. We have always warned you during severe weather and news events that affected many. Now, Channel 1 Atlanta begins a new series to warn you about what's coming soon and make sure you are prepared. Join us on a new journey, as according to a recent survey, a lot of people believe we are living in the last days. Current news events show us now more than ever. In history, time is setting the stage for the coming storm, a new series, now playing only on Channel 1 Atlanta.
Again, a confirmed tornado on the ground in downtown Conyers. It's a very dangerous and life-threatening weather event. Get into the interior section of your house, away from windows or a basement if you have. And there's the debris right there in the Millstead area near the Rockdale Medical Center. Right. Channel 1 Atlanta.
The stories about the horrendous, most recent stories about what happened in Georgia. Many of these Trump abortion bans that make no exception for rape or incest, it's immoral. It's immoral.
The campaign says the Democratic presidential nominee will highlight her commitment to fight for reproductive freedom on Friday. Details on where she will speak are limited right now, but once we know more, we'll of course share it with you both on air and online.
New tonight at 6, Senator Jon Ossoff is now proposing a bill that would let the president choose who runs the United States Postal Service. So this follows hundreds of complaints that we've reported on about the postal problems at the Palmetto Distribution Center. 11 Alive Teresa Bowles spoke with Senator Ossoff about how this would actually work. Teresa?
Ron, 11 Alive is still getting tips to this day about how problems with the postal services continue to impact their daily lives. That's why Ossoff is saying it's time elected leaders get more involved. Like the trash pileups the Inspector General found at an Atlanta postal facility audit this week, Senator Jon Ossoff says those in charge at USPS must be removed.
The execution debacle by the U.S. Postal Service in Georgia has been a failure of leadership and a failure of management.
So he's proposing a bill that would gut the power normally given to the Board of Governors of the Postal Service, who get to choose or remove the Postmaster General. Instead,
the elected representatives of the American people have the opportunity to interrogate the qualifications and the plans and vision of a nominee for this role.
His new bill would amend Title 39 of the United States Code. Some of his changes, the president would appoint the Postmaster General. The position would have to be confirmed by the Senate, and the appointee would serve a 5-year term with a chance to renew, but has a new 2-term limit.
There will be the opportunity for the Senate to review their performance midway through their tenure and determine whether or not they've demonstrated the competence to remain in that office.
If not, they could be fired. I reached out to USPS. A spokesperson says it won't comment on pending legislation. The board's control may have been the way things are for more than 50 years, but Ossoff says out with the old and in with the new, because cleaning up the Postal Services Act is too important to those who depend on it.
This is about whether seniors are receiving their medication, vital notices from the court, notices to appear, notices of eviction.
This bill is in the early stages. Ossoff still has to work through the bipartisan support to push this bill forward. The next step is for the measure to be on the Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs.
Okay, Teresa, thanks a lot for the update. And you know, we've been following the postal problems, Georgia mail delays, ever since this started back in February. So to look for our in-depth coverage, just text the word mail to 404-885-7600 and we will send you the information directly to your phone.
Well, we've got a warm-up on the way. Let's get you now to our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, with your 11 Live weather impact forecast.
We're eventually going to see temperatures back up to around 90 degrees as we head into the weekend. But for now, we're still tracking that area of low pressure that is pretty much stalled out there in the upstate of South Carolina. And what that's doing for us is still bringing us some clouds, but fewer clouds than yesterday. It's also still bringing a few showers up in areas of northeast Georgia, but not as many as we've had. And as this system weakens, we will continue to see those impacts going down even more. Right now in Atlanta, we have some clouds, but holes in those clouds to allow some sunshine to come through. We've had a couple of showers over to the east of us, more of that in northeast Georgia, Rabun County, Habersham County, Stevens County getting in on some of that, as well as White County, Lumpkin County, just a few of those raindrops. But that's all going to be ending as this system finally dies out, and we'll see the clouds break up and we'll see some of that rain getting out of here as well. For the rest of the evening hours, you'll notice those clouds breaking up a little bit more for the evening and overnight. We do move down into the 60s here by early tomorrow, but temperatures tomorrow afternoon warm up a little more than we were today. That trend continues until we eventually move into those lower 90s. We'll talk more about that in your 7-day outlook in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, we'll see you in a couple of minutes. New tonight at 10, at 6 rather, following the death of a 16-year-old in Troup County. 3 young people are now arrested and charged. On August 28th, the deputies responded to a shooting on Montrose Way in LaGrange, and that's where they were found. 16-year-old Kyron Johnson shot in the chest. He later died at the hospital. And tonight, 19-year-old Ankevius Moore and 18-year-old Jamichael Williams are now charged with felony murder. And we're still waiting to get Williams' booking photo. Another 18-year-old is charged with false statements and tampering with evidence.
Tonight, prosecutors have dropped the money laundering charges against 3 Stop Cop City activists. The activists are with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. The group has done legal advocacy and fundraising work for several years. Prosecutors accuse the 3 of funneling money that was supposed to be for charitable causes and instead using it to reimburse protesters who spent months camping near the site of the police and fire training center. They're still facing racketeering charges along with 58 others indicted last year.
Right now, Fulton County parents are worried their children's schools could be closing.
In a school board work session last week, Fulton County schools discussed potentially closing and consolidating 2 elementary schools. 11 Live's Molly Oak live for us tonight in the Sandy Springs area where a community meeting is getting underway. Molly?
Yeah, so one of the schools we're talking about is Spalding Drive Elementary School. Now, that's about 2.5 miles away from where I am at Woodland Elementary. Actually, one parent just shouted, "Save Spalding Drive." That's because parents of those Spalding Drive Elementary School kids are meeting with a school board member here tonight about the potential closure of their children's school.
My child loves this school. He's a proud Spalding Tiger.
Spalding Drive Elementary.
This is absolutely the most important thing in the lives of many people in this community right now because this is our children, and our children love this school.
Last week in a school board work session, board members directed Fulton County Schools staff to look at possibly closing and consolidating 2 schools. Park Lane Elementary School in South Fulton County and Spalding Drive Elementary School in the Sandy Springs area.
I would say I had a mixed reaction of devastation and fear.
Shock. I was in shock for sure. 2 days later, I was in the school volunteering and I just had an emotional breakdown, which is not when I wanted to have an emotional breakdown, but just being in the school and thinking, wow, this might all be taken away from us. It was devastating.
Fulton County Schools reports that any schools with enrollment below specific thresholds are expensive to maintain. For elementary, that number is 450 students. It reports Spalding Drive's current enrollment is 349 students. While parents say they know there's a financial impact to the eventual decision,
but seeing more so what the community impact is, that there's so many young kids that are moving into the area.
Parents say they think Spalding Drive can and will grow.
We believe that they are grossly underestimating the potential enrollment we have here.
Fulton County Schools says there will be conversations about both Spalding Drive and Park Lane at community meetings in October, November, and December. Adding a formal recommendation will be brought to the school board for a vote in February. Now, along with meeting with a school board member here tonight, Spalding Drive parents also started a change.org petition. As of this afternoon, they have more than 1,600 signatures. Reporting live, Molly Oak, 11 Alive News.
All right, Molly, thanks a lot. New tonight at 6, plans to redevelop Gwinnett Place Mall is now moving forward. County officials announcing on Tuesday that they're going to spend almost $17 million to purchase that property. 11 Alive's Karis Belger spoke with the Gwinnett County Commission chair today on what that redevelopment could possibly look like.
Gwinnett County will soon own more than 290 square feet of land on the site of the Gwinnett Place Mall. It's all part of what County Commission Chair Nicole Love Hendrickson says is a legacy project to redevelop the site.
We came up with a global villages concept, which would have specific nodes on the site to focus on a cultural arts center, public spaces, a business incubator, residential, retail, and the like.
The purchase includes the Macy's department store and the Macy's furniture store and totals more than 230 acres of land. The store will operate until March of next year.
Through the holidays, through March of 2025, so that they can handle any holiday shopping returns, liquidate whatever they need to, and then at that point we will be ready to put an RFP out to the development community.
The original development concept was approved by the county last year. Hendrickson says developers have already shown interest. Final plans will come once more conversations happen with potential developers.
We'll include a timeline, potential project plans. We have a concept that they can build off of, and it will also include whether or not we completely tear the entire structure down or build with what we have.
The deal is expected to officially close in November. In Gwinnett County, Karis Belger, 11 Alive News.
Coming up next at 6, relief is coming to some young people aging out of foster care. We have more on what's changed since 11 Alive investigates found millions of dollars to help with housing was going untouched.
And city leaders hope to breathe new life into the old Atlanta Medical Center site. Why concerns are rising that the plan fails to address.
Bargain Hunt knows you don't have to save like crazy to get crazy savings. Cozy up to discounts on women's brand name clogs and sweaters. Update his fall fit with deals on flannels and vests. Save on everything you need at Bargain Hunt.
Get instant approval to lease up to $5,000 in furniture, appliances.
Tonight, 11 Alive investigates getting results for Georgia foster youth aging out of the system.
Last month, investigator Savannah Levin shared that nearly $13 million federal dollars in rental assistance was available for young adults, but hardly any Georgia housing authorities requested that money to help them. This year, housing agencies statewide are eligible to obtain 769 vouchers for the young people, for the Youth to Independence or FYI program. But at the time of our original investigation, we found not a single one had been secured in the entire Metro Atlanta area since the program started in 2019. Well, after our report aired, former Atlanta City Council President Felicia Moore reached out to 11 Alive Investigates. She was recently appointed commissioner for the Housing Authority of Fulton County. She tells us the agency has now obtained 5 FYI vouchers, which will provide up to 36 months of rental assistance for young Georgians aging out of foster care. Social work researchers estimate more than 40% of foster youth will face homelessness within 2 years of leaving the system.
What does that statistic say to you?
It says that it's broken and we need to fix it. If they are taken care of by the state primarily, then we need to make sure that they're having that transition to adulthood so that they can be self-sufficient. But I'm going to say that you're bringing this issue is extremely important, and it's going to be on my top priority list as we get stabilized.
Atlanta housing officials tell 11 Alive Investigates they are now applying for vouchers as well. You can read more about our investigation on 11alive.com/investigates. Just click on this story.
Well, this week, WellStar announcing its support for redevelopment at the former Atlanta Medical Center site. Council members telling 11 Alive it's going to include housing, retail, wellness services, and a lot more. So the hospital shut down in 2022, taking away a level 1 trauma center and 460 hospital beds. While the current plan includes medical offices and health facilities, Kira Stanford with the new Georgia project worries this concept will not be enough.
A lot of people needed that mental health rehabilitation, substance abuse rehabilitation in the area. And now that AMC's closed, they're again having to go farther to seek those types of services too. Not to mention, of course, primary care doctors, children's care doctors.
So the moratorium on development expires next month, and then WellStar can begin the process of selling. Let's get back to the chief to talk about this heat that's going to be headed our way. I know we're getting close to fall, but we still got to deal with summer.
Summer's not officially over yet. That won't be until next week. So we do have some more summer-like weather coming in, and we're going to see those temperatures gradually increasing a little bit more over the next few days. So yes, it is going to be getting hotter as those temperatures climb. We do think we'll hit the lower 90s heading into the weekend, and with that hotter air coming in, we're mainly going to be staying dry. Now, we're still watching that stalled out area of low pressure that is weakening and dying out in the upstate of South Carolina, and that's what's responsible for giving us some of the clouds here, a couple showers over to the east, over toward Newton County, a few raindrops there. Most of those light showers today have been in parts of northeast Georgia, and I'm thinking that's where they're going to stay as we're finally going to see that area of low pressure just weaken and finally fall apart. Here's our live view right now. This is in Dahlonega. You can see some of those darker clouds, even a little bit of that rain and some of the rain shafts there in the distance. That's where we have been seeing a few of those lighter showers up in parts of Lumpkin County. And where we see the clouds that are a little bit thicker, that's where the temperatures are lower. We've got 77 in Duluth, 77 in Gainesville, 78 in Athens. Get down to Atlanta, it's 81. And then south of the city, even mid-80s right now over in the LaGrange area. And temperatures are going to keep climbing. Look at this trend over the next few days. Today's high was 84. Tomorrow, a little hotter at 87. And then 89 Friday. There you see the lower 90s on Saturday and Sunday. Back to 89, though, moving in here on Monday. Something else we have to watch is down in the Western Caribbean. We mentioned this yesterday that we have a potential system developing there. Last night, the National Hurricane Center, and then updating again this afternoon, is giving us about a 20% chance of developing over the next 5 to 7 days. We really think, though, that this is going to start moving up into the Gulf of Mexico. But let me tell you, I know you may be seeing a lot of stuff on social media where people are saying they know exactly where it's going. There's no way to know where this system is going yet. We do think it'll be a low in the Yucatan Peninsula moving into the beginning of next week, but whether or not it goes toward Mexico or Texas, whether or not it goes toward the northern Gulf or into southern Florida next week, We just don't know yet. We also don't know the intensity of what this system will be yet either. So just know we'll keep tracking it. We'll let you know as it does develop. It hasn't even really developed there yet. Watch the clouds starting to disappear a little bit more tomorrow. We'll see more sunshine coming through, and that will help those temperatures get up to 87 degrees. And then more of those hot temperatures coming back into our area here, moving into Friday, mostly sunny skies and looking good into the weekend. But that's when we're going to see those temperatures that'll be in the lower 90s. You see that gradual warm up here. 87 Thursday, 89 Friday, lower 90s on Saturday and Sunday, staying dry for the end of the week, the weekend, and beginning of next week. But once we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, a little more moisture comes back. So we'll see about a 20% chance for a shower on Tuesday, then a 30% chance on Wednesday as those highs trend back down into the mid-80s.
I like that trend for next week.
I see it coming back down, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see.
Okay.
We know you'll stay on top of it,
We
Chris. Hey, it is one of the biggest Falcons home games in quite some time. The star-studded Kansas City Chiefs will be in town on Sunday. Marcus Graves explains why it is such a tough matchup.
Bargain Hunt knows you don't have to save like crazy to get crazy savings. Cozy up to discounts on women's brand name clogs and sweaters. Update his fall fit with deals on flannels and vests. Save on everything you need at Bargain Hunt.
Get instant approval to lease up to $5,000 in furniture, appliances, electronics, and more. Get the things you love without using credit. Shop at thousands of retailers with flexible payments conveniently scheduled with your payday. Shop today with Acima Leasing.
We rely on our partners at Ferguson to make sure everything runs smoothly, from product selection to finished project.
Shop the best selection of brands like Thermador at your local Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery.
Atlanta is known to be not the safest city.
The traffic is horrendous.
The problems you face every day in Atlanta
affect us all.
Cost of living, everything's gone up.
I wish it was better.
That's why 11 Alive News is uncovering solutions to improve your safety,
To ease our traffic troubles,
to better manage the higher cost of living,
and solutions to the problems facing our community.
so while you're striving for a better life,
We're fighting to make your life better. 11 Alive News.
What is up, y'all? Marcus Greaves here with your Wednesday Sports. That big win Monday night over the Eagles was a collective team effort for the Falcons, but safety Jesse Bates was the man in that game. Double-digit tackles. Of course, he set the tone, and he had that game-sealing interception. As a result, he is the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Congrats to him. But now the Falcons welcome the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs to the Benz Sunday, and KC is led by no one other than the Patrick Mahomes, and Raheem Morris knows he is a matchup nightmare.
He's smart, he's unique, he can move around, he can buy time, he can play within the framework of the system. He can see, he knows what you're doing on defense. He's grown up to the point of, he's almost seen everything at this point. Seen every trick, every trade, every gimmick, every gamut, every whatever you want to call it. And he's just one of the best.
And the college football season is only a few weeks old, but there's nothing wrong with looking ahead just a little bit. In January, the city of Atlanta once again hosts the CFP, also known as the College Football Playoff Championship game. And this week, the CFP Foundation is in town. It's Extra Yard for Teachers Week, and 11 Alive is teaming up with the foundation to give back to teachers and schools. Deborah Slay teaches in Heard County. She got a $1,000 check for her classroom, and the school received an additional $2,000.
On top of that,
I'll use it for manipulatives, of course, if I need those, but I'll use it. I'm going to also use it as a reward for the children. I'm going to buy stuff to give to them because they deserve it. They earned it. They deserve it. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
Congratulations to all of them. And all 159 counties in Georgia will have at least one teacher recognized. I'll be in Gwinnett County Friday night for our Team 1-1 Game of the Week. Hebron Christian hosting Blessed Trinity. That's all we got for sports.
When it's time to choose the right products for your project, Ferguson makes sure everything runs smoothly from start to finish. Shop the best selection of brands like Signature Kitchen Suite at your local Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery.
Get instant approval to lease up to $5,000 in furniture, appliances, electronics, and more. Get the things